again with another live. So just so you know, you guys, after dealing with narcissistic abuse. So I kind of want to go ahead and just abuse. So I kind of want to go ahead and just get into the topic. So I wanted to talk first off about narcissistic bosses. Have somebody around barking at you or something, or if maybe somebody's annoying or someone's maybe trying to irritate you or distract you. Anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about, how some narcissistic bosses and coworkers, for one, maybe you don't fit in the environment. Maybe you're very different. Maybe you're very unique. And a lot of the times that people will hate you for that in the job environment, especially if it's toxic. They'll hate you for it. And a lot of the times they may try to change you. They may try to break you, or maybe they may try to get you to act in a different way than what you're used to behaving. I know, me personally, this did happen to me at the most recent job that I worked at, and I actually wrote a book about this. So make sure, if you guys have not, make sure that you get my latest book called Employee to Entrepreneur, Tips on Surviving a Toxic Work Environment. But yeah, so basically, and this had really happened throughout the entire time that I was there. I guess I just didn't realize it because of, and a lot of people have told me this, the training that I went through at the job that I worked at before, it was nothing like how it would be like on the actual production floor, like training classroom and production floor, completely different. They didn't share that with us, that it would be that different. And so a lot of times people, what happens is they get kind of shell shocked, and they get confused as to why, things are different. Like the managers are different, the environment's different. It's like cutthroat type of environment, win at all costs type of thing, lie to get to the top, cheat, steal to, things like that. So that was, my experience. And again, I'm not saying all jobs are like this, because I know that there's some people out there, they love their job, they love their bosses, they love their coworkers. That's awesome, I'm happy for you. But in my case, that was not my experience at all, so unfortunately. But yes, you so if you find yourself being different, and when I say different, I mean maybe you're a little quiet, maybe you just go to work and you just want to do your job and go home, like you're not trying to make friends, you're not trying to, be like a family with your with the people at your job. And you guys know that some jobs are like that. They're like, oh, we're a family here. And some people are like, no, I don't want to be family with my coworkers. No, like I already have a family, that kind of thing, right? So you do have a lot of that going on. But yes, it so, and again, also in a way that you're different. Maybe you don't gossip. Maybe you're not trying to get involved in the politics, the drama. You know, that different, right? And maybe you're not just being idle, or just there to play games, or there to just, who knows, do whatever, right? So let's say you're different in that way, right? Maybe you're just there to be productive, right? Maybe, like I said, you're just trying to do your job and go, right? So a lot of the times, your boss or your coworkers, they may use that against you. Maybe they might be like, oh, well, you're a loner. Oh, you never talk to us. Oh, you're always smiling all the time. Or, oh, you're so happy all the time. Um, you never cuss. Or, you're soft. Things like that, so you could have it to where some of your coworkers will do that. And I also had it to where there was a narcissist on the job that I worked at. In particular, it was a female narcissist, and she had flying monkeys and minions around, doing her dirty work. And thank you, Stefan. I appreciate it. Hi, Pookie. Make sure you guys give the video a like. And so that's a really big thing. So um but yeah, so you might have a lot of that going on. Now, if that is the case, maybe you notice that maybe your bosses and coworkers, maybe they mistreat you, maybe they misjudge you, maybe they try to overwork you, underpay you, maybe they try to force you to get overtime. Maybe they might tell you to do someone else's job and stuff like that. So just understand that, you have rights, and, you can always go to HR if you need to. Always, document, as I always say, if someone does something to you or says something to you, you can take it to your boss, or if your boss was like mine, they didn't do anything. So it was like, at that point, you have to either take it to HR, or, maybe in an authority figure, that kind of thing. And a lot of the times too, if you don't quote unquote fit in to the people in your job, and let's say if you're due for a promotion, or let's say somebody tries to offer you a different position, if the boss is like jealous of you, or they're in competition with you, then they will undermine you, right? Or they'll try to sabotage you, right? So, I had that happen to me several times, actually, by the big boss ladies, big boss ladies, try to undermine me over a position that I could care less about. I didn't care about that. It's just like, they asked me type of thing. So, you do have a lot of that going on. But yeah, so in those instances, the best thing that I would say, knowing what I know now, is I'm not telling anybody what to do, but if I would have known what I know now, you could probably leave that particular job situation if you have that flexibility to do so. You don't want to stay in a job situation and it's causing you stress, it's causing you anxiety, it's causing you to feel depressed, or making you feel isolated and stuff like that. And that you reached out to a higher authority, and they're not doing anything about protecting you or protecting your safety and making sure that you're okay. They're only caring about numbers. They're only caring about how things are going to make them look. Then, you want to be careful about that, because that just lets you know that they don't care about you. They're probably just using you. And then once they used you up, they're going to hire somebody else. So they could care less about you at the end of the day. Now, I'm not saying all jobs are like that, but the majority of jobs are. And that's a reality, right? So, yeah. Thank you, Britt. I appreciate it. Yeah, that is corporate for you. That's right. Yeah, you got cat fights. And I don't know what it is when it comes to the men. And I've seen this not only in a job environment. I've also seen it like in other like little settings. Like the women, I don't know what it is about the women, you guys, but they are very catty, very jealous, very competitive, and very just cutthroat. And it's just like, not everybody, but the majority of them are, and it's really, really sad, and if there's anything that I can do, you guys know that I have my group called the Healing and the Recovery Room, where that group is all about, uplifting and positivity and encouragement and development, because you don't have that. You don't have that. Yeah, zero patience. If you make a mistake, oh, you're the worst person in the world. But if you do good, they're like, oh, do it again or do more. Like they're just using you up, sucking you dry like a parasite, right? And stuff like that. So you got to be careful at these jobs. Do your background check on the job that you're working for. Talk to some of the managers, talk to the bosses, and find out. Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry, I was clearing my throat. Give me a moment. Sorry, y'all. So, you do have that going on. So, yeah. And I saw your... Thank y'all. Yeah, female. And what's crazy? Like the job that I was working at were all females. All females. There was like 2 to 3 like male bosses, but it was ran by sorry, there's smoke around here. Sorry about 1 second, y'all. Sorry. The smoke is not good for me. And sometimes I can be around smoke, but yeah, the female bosses, in my opinion, are the worst. Not all female bosses, but the majority of female bosses, like in certain environments where it's very competitive And it's very like they don't have any sort of, sometimes it's like they lack empathy. They're all about results. They're like performance based, and it's very like, okay, can you do so, excuse me, if let's say if it's a team member that's having some challenges, why don't you like try to get to know them and find out how you can best help them, versus just only talking about a call that's quote unquote bad, and bringing them down. Like that's how it was, like the job, the most recent job that I worked at. Like they never really praised the people like that. They only talked more negatively about like your mistakes versus talking about what you did good, because quote unquote coaching is not always pointing out what you did bad, but you can recognize that someone did a good job. You can say, hey, I like that you did this on the call, I like that you did that on the call. It doesn't have to be, oh well, you didn't do this right, you could have said this, you could have said that. It's just like, so you have a lot of that in those type of environments, unfortunately. So hold on, y'all, 1 second. You have to forgive me. I am a little bit under the weather, so hold on, y'all. Sorry. Excuse me. So, Trinity. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Trinity. Yeah, Sam, they don't care. They don't care. And it's just like, that's fine. If you don't care, then I don't care either. Right? So, that's why in those type of environments, you have to look out for yourself, because they're not looking out for you. They're only looking out for what makes them look good. And it's just like, you don't have to conduct a business like that. That's not, I mean, maybe in their mind that's how they feel, but that's not in the way that I think about business. I don't think of it that way. Like that's not how it should be. So that's just me. But yeah. So yeah. And the other aspect, so we were talking about narcissistic bosses, narcissistic coworkers, and then the other aspect of detaching. So if you're in that type of environment, you want to make sure that you can be able to detach. And the reason why I say that is because if you get too emotionally involved, then that type of situation can really affect that particular person in a negative way. So you really do want to be careful about those type of environments. I know that there was a person, yeah, very self-centered type of energy. And it's crazy because I remember I went to one of the bosses and I told him like, hey, this person is harassing me, this person is stalking me, this person is following me around at the job. And she had no empathy for me whatsoever. Now granted, she wasn't from here, she was from, I think, Jamaica or something like that. And so it's just kind of like, okay, I mean, I'm an American myself, so I know that, I'm not saying all, but it was like, I don't know, she just didn't have that sense of, like, she couldn't resonate with it, or she didn't really feel it, because it's like, if it was someone that was like from the US, or maybe somebody that grew up in this culture, in this environment, it probably would have been different. I don't know, but who knows. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I mean, it could have. Who knows? It may have not. But yeah, as far as I know, she was Jamaican, and I think the other lady, I think she was like American and Jamaican or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, but she had no empathy. And then the male boss that I had too, he was actually Haitian. He was Haitian, so again, he wasn't really from the U.S. either. And so there's a lot of like cultural, like envy, a lot of cultural jealousy between people that are from the US and people that are not from here. There's a lot of contempt that's had for people that are born in the United States, and stuff like that. So you do have a lot of that going on. So so yeah. Okay, thank you, friendly. I appreciate it. So yeah. Um but yeah, and then oh, and by the way, if you guys ever want to reach out to me, you guys are more than welcome to visit my website in any way that I can support you on your mental health journey or anything like that. I would love to do so. You guys can feel free to check out the link in the bio. You guys can learn more. So yeah. Yeah, sorry to hear that, Trinity. But yeah, as far as like I said, detaching is it's really important because like I said, for those of you you feel like, you have to stay at in a toxic, work environment, the best way for you to be able to survive is, really detaching, right? Detaching from coworkers, detaching from, like I said, the politics, detaching from the drama, and stuff like that. So that's really going to be important for those of you that feel like you have to stay, Now, those of you that have the capability of leaving, that's awesome. That's great because really, I mean, if a job is affecting your mental health at that point, it's probably not worth it, because it's not. I mean, yeah, you're probably doing a good job as far as performance, or maybe they claim you are, but how is it affecting you? Do you have a personal life? Are you you know happy, in general, or do you have a life and, able to spend time with your family? Because a lot of the toxic work environments, especially the ones that I've been in, they take up all your time. They force you to take overtime. They're very negative, they're very hateful, very cutthroat, even with the people that's actually doing the work for them. I can see if they were actually taking calls, but they're not actually taking calls. They're listening to calls and judging people based off of what they hear. But one of the things that I learned is that the things that they were asking me, they couldn't even actually do it. So that's what I thought was pretty crazy to me. I remember I had this discussion with this girl before I ended up leaving. I told her because they had a where they were evaluating me on a call, right? And they were saying, "Okay, Joy, you did this, you did that, blah blah blah, whatever, but you didn't do this, you didn't do that." And come to find out that the oh, there's a rainbow. Oh, how sweet! There's a beautiful rainbow. Oh my god, wow, that's beautiful. I'm sorry, y'all. But come to find out that the big boss lady, I remember once they came and visit in a room before, and they were like, "Oh, okay, so we're gonna practice, connecting with the customer, right?" And everybody had, if you were called on, you had to, answer the question, right? Or like you had to conversate. And so it comes time for the big boss lady to actually have a conversation. I'm actually trying to have a conversation with her, and she's nervous. She could barely talk. And then like the big boss lady, she's like, "Okay, let's go. Let's change the subject. Let's do something else." And I'm like, "You did that in a room where it was like not even. It's just the employees. But imagine I'm on the phone with a live customer, trying to connect with them. And mind you, that customer that they judged me off of was extremely rude, and it wasn't really grounds for them to judge it that way. But someone that couldn't even have a conversation with me is judging me off of a call of something that they can't even do, then that just discounts everything that you said. It's just like, you can't judge me off of that because you can't even deliver what you're asking me to do. You get what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And a lot of these corporations, these jobs, it's like they'll get people in these positions and they can't even deliver the things that they're telling you to do. So it's like you begin to lose respect for authority because you're like, well, you can't deliver on that. You can't do what you're asking me. So why am I going to do that? No. How about you learn to have a conversation with someone first before you judge me on a call? That's not even grounds for to be judged that way. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, correct. That's exactly what it is. You're disposable in those job situations, and it's just like, well, if that's the case, then let me be disposable. I'll go ahead and go somewhere else where I'm appreciated. Like, no, you're. It's like they're gonna take. It's like they take advantage of you. It's like, no, you're not gonna do that with me. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm a little under the weather. Forgive me. So yeah, it's that time of the season. The weather changes, so. And then I was people around smoking stuff. So I'm not really big on smoking. So yeah, you guys, I hope that this was helpful. So we talked about detaching. I also, and I want to do this like a part 2, but I want to talk about addictions. So if you guys are having challenges with addictions, excuse me, no matter what that addiction is, I just want you to understand, as long as you're actually doing something to help you to overcome that addiction, then that's beautiful. But it's like, if you keep feeding that addiction, if you keep, repeating the same lesson, if you keep doing something that is not right, then at that point you're okay with it. And then again, there's no need for judgment, no judging at all. But you're kind of complacent, and it's just like, when you talk to people about it, it's almost like you're not really looking for help. You're just venting, like, or you're just, just communicating. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. Me and smoke is not good. I'm sorry. Forgive me. People around here smoke a lot. I'm not really a big, I've never really smoked ever, but I have been around people that have, and it does have an effect. So forgive me for that, y'all. But I hope that this video was helpful, though. I hope that it made sense. Now I know that it can be disappointing to know that, let's say, if you were in a job situation and you found out that your boss could care less about you, and maybe, let's say, you put in years at that job. I know that can be hurtful, and that can cause a lot of trauma. So just understand you're not alone. You're not under any obligation to work for someone that doesn't care about you. So I mean, because I've done that myself. Thinking that this job, that they had my best interest, that they really cared, and that they appreciated all the hard work that I did. They could care less, and that's fine. That's fine. So, but you're just not going to have me there anymore. And, you can go ahead and use someone else, but you're not going to use me, so it is what it is. Now, I know with the holiday time coming up, y'all, I know people might feel different ways about it. I know sometimes people might feel depressed during the holidays. Yeah, Sam, it's difficult to find a caring workplace. It's really sad, because you got to think about it like this. Some people will stay at a job for years. They will stay there for 35 years, like how my dad did, maybe 20 years, like how my mom did, and she spent another 20 years at another job. A lot of these companies, they don't care. Now, the older generation, my parents and their parents, it may have been different. From what I was told, like one job that I worked at, they told me like the training was nice. The people, they helped them, they stayed with them until they knew what they were doing. Like I heard, like even in the Army, like anybody in the room ever been to the Army? Raise your hand. Who's been to the Army, or whoever been to boot camp? Because apparently, when you're in the Army and you get trained and you go out there and you don't know what you're doing, you could actually get yourself hurt. Okay, so you guys, okay, I haven't been either, I'm just asking. But apparently, back in the day, like my parents and their parents, the training was different. Because nowadays, when you go on a job, not all the time, but the majority of the time, they will not train you. So a lot of the times they'll show you, or excuse me, they'll tell you, but they won't show you, right? Or they may show you one time and then think like, oh, you're supposed to know it. But some people, they may need to see it or do it multiple times in order for them to get it. You get what I'm saying? You know? So that's really a thing. But like I said, even like the job that I was working at, the one that had the narcissistic bosses and coworkers, I mean, yeah, the training was okay, but like when we went out on the production floor, it was nothing like how they was training us for those, like I think it was like for 5 weeks or something like that. It was completely different. It was just like, wait, what was all that time for? It's like it's a waste of time, you know? Yeah, army is relatively better because in the army they have to train you and they have to know that you know what you're doing, because if not you can get hurt, you know? So yeah, so it's different these days. Like most jobs in corporate America, I'm not saying all, but the majority, they really do a disservice to the employees, but they expect you to perform. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You need to train me. You need to give me the material that I need so I can perform how you need me to perform. But that's why I think that a lot of people end up becoming an entrepreneur because they get tired of that. They get tired of the mistreatment. They get tired of being bullied, harassed in jobs, and you know, made to feel like it's something wrong with them when it's actually the environment is toxic, the environment's hateful, the environment's cutthroat for no reason. And the thing about it is the way that the people behave, it's not just coming from the bosses, or let's say the site director. It's not coming from them, it's coming from the big people at the top. So, you know, that's what I learned. That's what I learned myself. So, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. But we're going to talk more about, you know, detaching from the narcissist, you know, with the holidays times coming up. You know, and also dealing with addiction. So there's many different addictions I wanted to mention. So some people may be addicted to different stuff. Some people can be addicted to social media. Some people could be addicted to drama. Some people can be addicted to gossip. Some people can be addicted to sex. Some people might be addicted to porn. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you. Some people might be addicted to spending. Some people might be addicted to, who knows, anything. Or some people could be addicted to drugs. Some people could be addicted to medications. Some people can be addicted to pills, you know, all types of stuff, you know. So just make sure, if you do have an addiction, you guys, just make sure that you are working on it. Like, you know, breaking the habit, you know, and just becoming a better version for yourself, for your family, because they will thank you for it at the end of the day. All right. But we'll talk about that later. I love you guys so much, and I will see you all in the next video. All right. Bye, guys.